Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this Big Red Cloud webinar on revolutionizing your purchase process with our purchase importer. You're all very welcome this morning, and hello to you all from a very kind of dull and grey Selbridge. That's where I'm talking to you from this morning, and hope whatever part of Ireland or the world you're in this morning that the weather is a little bit better than it is here. So let me just talk about our agenda for this morning. With me today, by the way, is Catherine Lockhart, our Chief Operations Officer.
Hi,
She'll be
everyone.
on hand. Hello.
Just saying hello.
Oh yeah, sorry, sorry. Hi, hello, um, hello, Catherine. Yeah, so just talk about the agenda for this morning. So really, it's really an overview of Purchase Importer. Today we're going to kind of give you a brief overview, including a demo of the main application, and then in more detail the snap and send feature using a mobile phone. We will be doing a more detailed webinar next month. We'll probably have a deeper dive and more of a kind of a semi-training one. But today's an introduction to it for those who haven't seen it before, and show you what it's all about, how it works, and in particular, just to emphasize the fantastic new Snap and Send feature that we've implemented relatively recently for it, and we get great feedback from customers on that. I'll also talk a little bit about the ongoing Big Red Cloud training we have in conjunction with Enterprise Training Board. Some great free training resources there for you all to avail of, and hopefully some of you or all of you are availing of that. Just before we click into demo mode, let me just give you a quick overview of the Purchase Importer, what it is, and the features that are there in it. It's essentially an inbox in your purchases book. So when this is enabled for you, you'll have a new functionality in the purchase book that is an inbox. You'll see documents going in there. It's accessible from the purchase book. You do have configurable by the user display and sorting. You can kind of only show invoices that are recently come in. You can have we'll do a little bit of that in the demo. A big one is that in the purchase book, if you have imported the purchase invoice from a PDF or a JPEG or whatever kind of document you have, you will be able to drill back from, for example, from the supplier ledger account down to the purchase invoice book, and from there directly to the underlying document that underlies it. That's a really strong functionality for you to be able to see directly from the purchase book. And anywhere where a purchase invoice is viewable, you can also view the underlying purchase document that created that purchase entry. There are now three main ways. We had two before now. So we always had the direct upload and then the email to use configured email address. You can configure that yourselves. But we now have the snap and send feature using our mobile app, and we'll have a detailed demo on that as part of the session this morning. A key thing is automatic supplier matching based on the VAT number, name, other details like address, phone number. So that's a really strong way of making sure that you get as high a degree of recognition of invoices as it come in as possible. It does mean setting up, those particular fields in your suppliers, having good supplier setup. But once that's done, you'll find that the percentage of invoices that are recognized and matched automatically is really very, very high. We can have defaults on the supplier. So when you have another part of that setup, it's to set the default VAT treatment and also the analysis category per supplier. So if you have all that initial homework done, it means you can get a really good, strong automation story coming from the purchase importer. It also does support splitting of files. So if you have, for example, a sheet feed scanner where you put in, 50 documents into the scanner, it gives you a 50-page PDF. We support uploading that single file and then split it, and then we'll recognize the individual invoices, be they all one page or be they a mixture of 1 page, 2 page, and multiple page documents within that. And finally, we have duplicate detection and user-defined field support. So a really strong suite of functionality around the purchase importer that we hope you'll appreciate today. So for my first demo, I'm going to give you a look around the purchase importer screen. So let me change my screen there from the presentation to my browser. And then over here. So here we are in a company in Big Red Cloud. We'll go into the purchases book.
Borg, we're just seeing the Zoom screen there.
Okay. Still seeing that? Okay, let me stop sharing then and reshare. Seeing it now?
Yep, that's perfect.
Yeah, okay, right, not sure what happened there. Okay, thanks, Catherine. Okay, so here we are in a, let me just close this for a second. So we're just back in the main screen. So we're back in the this company, um, IT Solutions Group, which is my demo company. And we have the purchase book here. Now within the purchase book, we can click down here on the bottom. And here is the purchase importer. If you have purchased this module, you'll see it here on the bottom. Click into it. And we'll now see, I'm now seeing previous invoices that I've uploaded and imported into the system. So for example, if I look at this Carlo Brewing invoice here, so the idea is that you upload your documents here, be they PDF or JPEGs, and you can see them here. So for example, is O'Hara's Brewing. That's the invoice that was uploaded. And here is the data that was recognized against that invoice. I can go across here. So let me unselect all of that in blue. So here is the data, and we'll see in the demo with the snap and send how a little bit more about how that actually works. I can put in filters here, and I can say, I can go for any of the columns that are here. And if I look at the columns, if I look to the right, you'll see we have the date uploaded. I can sort by this, so everything is filterable and sortable. So there's, from May 25 right back to December 24 and so on. This is obviously demo data. I can go with the upload method. So we have manual. I uploaded it here in the interface. I have the mobile upload. That's from the demo that you'll see in a moment. And I kind of email as well. So for example, if I only want to look at ones that were uploaded through the mobile app, I can go to my filters and I can say upload method. If I go down here, upload method equals mobile. And that now filters to just that one. What if I move back to if I close this book and then go back to the purchase importer, you see that filter is remembered. So every time I log back in, even if I logged out today, I can go in here and actually go in and see that filter data. I go back to the filters here. You'll see the filter has a little one on it, which means that there's one filter condition set. So I know straight away that this isn't all my data. It's just one. I can unfilter it again, just remove the filter, and then I have all my data back again. This is a handy way to go in. I can see my process, my transaction created files, and so on. I can very clearly see that. I mentioned emailing documents, and you can set up that email address right here in settings, purchase importer. Okay, so it's saying I currently have this one from a previous demo, PORIC1612025. I can actually remove that and then add a new email address. So I can click and remove there. And then I can actually add a unique address. It'll be at pi2biggercloud.com, but you put your own email address, your personal name, your company name. Once it's available, we'll confirm that it's available, and then you can actually have emails sent to that. You can either get your supplier to send them to you directly to that email address, or you can have a filter rule, a forwarding rule in your own email that if you get certain invoices in, you can either manually or automatically forward them to this email address, and then they go through the rest of the process here. And close out and save from that. Go back to my purchase book, my purchase importer. So that's that. The other thing I want to just have a quick look at is the setup on suppliers. So if I look at my Carlo Brewing Company, so you actually put in the maybe it's O'Hara's is the one I did. So it's important that you put in the VAT number. You can put in the address, phone number as well, but the VAT number is always unique per supplier. It's a really good one to match on. So if you have the VAT number here, it will be detected on the system as well. Catherine's just reminded me I didn't show you the Q&A. Sorry, if you have questions, use the Q&A button on the bottom of your screen, if you wouldn't mind. So if there are questions as we go through this, put them in the Q&A. Catherine will answer some of them, maybe individually, but if there's anyone there that are of general interest, I will answer some at the end if there's any that will be applicable to several people or is of interest generally. Thanks, Catherine. I just missed that. Okay, so and sorry, and then down here is where you set the default categories. In this case, they're a brewing company, so we set it to default category of drink, which is a nominal code of 138, and it's purchased for resale because we're in the business of selling drinks. So this is a purchase input that's resaleable, but you can obviously take it not for resale as well. By doing this setup in this system, it means then that as you're importing invoices, they're recognized automatically and processed automatically. So it makes the workflow very, very efficient and highly automated. And if I from here drill into the ledger, I mentioned we can actually drill down to the underlying invoice. So here's an example. Here's an invoice that was imported here. Hit view in that. And from here, we have a new button down here, which is called View Document. If I click on that, it drills right down to the underlying PDF file. That's the invoice there for the 49550. So that's that invoice there. So that's a really good way to, if you have a query from the supplier, to ring it in to know, have you paid it? You can go in and see what was on that invoice. Am I happy to pay it or not, or what the situation actually is. Okay, so that's kind of a brief tour around this. You'll get some of these from the demo as well. It is a pre-recorded demo just for efficiency for this morning. So let me go ahead and go back to my slide deck, and we'll go through the demo with the snap and send to show the new way of including purchase invoices in your system. So let me go ahead here and my deck. In this demonstration, we're going to look at using the Snap and Send feature in the mobile application to bring these purchase invoices that I've received, physical invoices, into Big Red Cloud. So let me start by opening the purchases book. I'm going to June. These are 3 June invoices, and we've no data in June at the moment. So we could actually start by just manually adding these and going through them one at a time and putting in the information. We're going to use our purchase importer to import them. So I could actually, manually upload them, take a picture, send it up here, and then manually upload them through this process, or maybe scan them if you have a sheet feed scanner and so on. But we're going to use the mobile application to achieve the same thing. So let me just rearrange my screen here and take the mobile screen share over here. So this is my mobile phone at the moment. And you can see here in the middle, we have the Big Red Cloud mobile phone application. It's available in the Android and iPhone app stores, and it's free of charge for users. So there's no additional charge for using the app. So let me start by opening the app here. So the first thing it does is brings up a list of customers. I can go through products, reps, and so on. But down here, I have a new feature, which is the Snap and Send feature. And it's just a little logo of a camera. So let me pick up my phone and click that camera icon. And I have a choice of doing the upload from pictures I've already taken or actually taking new pictures. So let me go ahead and do that. So let me just center it over the invoice, take a picture. I'm going to say okay on that one. I can actually have a further look at it if I want to scroll in, rotate it, and so on. But let me add more. Again, I'll say from picture, let me move my page first, my second one. A picture. And here we go, the second one. That one. Hit OK on that as well. Turn the page, and then we'll do the final one here. Add more from picture as well. So let me line that up. And that's good. I can now click next. I can either upload and process, which means it'll send it up to our cloud, but also process it to understand what's on it, or upload only if we want to process at a later stage, or I can cancel the whole operation. So let me go ahead and upload and process. I get a message that it was uploaded successfully. So that's my bit on the phone done. Let me take my phone screen away. And we'll take a look here. We'll just do a quick refresh to see has it arrived here. And here it is. Okay, so if I click into it, I can get a preview of what the invoices look like. So it's split into 3 pages. You can see it there. There are my 3 invoices. I can drill down on these. It's not perfect, but kind of readable. We'll see how that goes. And you'll also see here that we've detected that splitting is required because it's a multi-page document with multiple invoices in it. So I can click this here and hit split documents. I can look at the splitting suggestions here. I can go through the pages. You know, if you had a 2-page invoice here, it should detect it automatically, but you can interact with it as well. But assuming it's okay, I can go ahead and split document here. And you see that it's split into 3 individual documents, and here they are now. I can now individually go into these and again view them, but they're the same 3 pages. Now it's just split into individual documents. Let's go ahead with these 3 and process them. So we'll now go through and individually look at, see, can it detect the supplier details, the net VAT amounts, and so on. So let me go ahead and process documents here. And while that's running, let me look at the supplier setup and look at some settings that support that. So one of them is key waste, for example. If I have a look at the setup here, you'll see that it has the VAT number. It's got the purchase for not for resale set as its type of VAT. We have a default nominal code, so an analysis category. So in other words, we always typically buy equipment from the supplier. If I go to my, for example, Carla Brewing, one of my other invoices, I can go here. I can just look at this setup, and it's going to be coded to drink. It's going to be for resale. I'm a drinks reseller, so that's a resale item, and so on. And there's the VAT number. So the name of the VAT number will be used to try and detect the information from the invoice itself. You see here, this processing is finished in background. You see it actually has successfully identified the 3 suppliers. There is the 3 dates, and because they're dated in June, excuse me, it now is suggested we put them into the June period. It's putting the information here. This last one was actually 13.5%, so it's gone into that category. The rest are 23%. And you see over here, it was the upload method was from a split file, and the date uploaded was here. This is the original mobile app upload, so we know we uploaded the original file from a mobile application on the 2nd of April at this time, and then we then split the file from here. So all the information is here as to where this data came from. What we can now do, if we're happy with this, is we can actually go ahead and again, they're all ticked, so I can actually go ahead and create transactions. Click on that. So you see here, we get a very good looking message. 3 purchase entries totaling that amount were created. Click OK on that. So let's go to our purchases book. Back in June. And lo and behold, we have 3 invoices here. Okay, so I can look in here, I can actually view this invoice. So there's all the information put into the correct categories, into the correct analysis category over here. This is my drink for O'Hara's Carla Brewing Company. And from here, I can actually click and view documents. So I can go right down to the individual invoice from the screen here as well. So that's really good if you're going through the accounts. Paying suppliers, you can see not just the total values from the invoice, but actually a scan or a picture of the invoice itself that was taken right from my phone. So I hope that gives you a good overview on the purchasing portal using the Snap and Send feature. We think it's really useful. It's really going to help automate your processing of purchase invoices. Thank you. Okay, so that's the end of that video. So hopefully you all got something from that. Let me go on to take some questions from the Q&A. I have a question from Carolyn about if you're doing March and April VAT, but if you get a February invoice in, what happens? Let me just go to the screen here. So what you can do in that case is you have a separate transaction date and period. In fact, here's an example of we have a February period here, but the transaction date is September. In other words, it was a really late invoice that came in. So you put it into the period for the VAT number you're doing it, and the purchase importer does respect if the period is closed. So if you have done the VAT for, say, January, February, and you've closed the period, it will not let you import into that period. So we do have all the business logic around that. So in that case, you leave it dated, the date of the invoice, but put it into the period for the VAT return. So that will actually deal with that. Let me go into my Q&A here and see what else is here.
There's another one there from Rita Walsh, Porg. Do we need an in-between system between us sending invoices and Big Red Cloud receiving it?
No. No, there's no in-between system. You just send it directly to Big Red Cloud. So you either upload in the file here and it's going directly to Big Red Cloud, or use the mobile app. But in the mobile app case, it's going directly to our system. There's no intermediate, if that's what was meant.
Perfect. There's another one just from an anonymous attendee. They've downloaded the app before, but have tried to download it again, and it says incorrect API key. So I just thought it might be a good opportunity to show people how to connect up to the API and the app.
I can show you the APIs. Now, I don't have my mobile phone sharing app on the machine at the moment, so I can't show my phone today. But I can show you where you get the API key to get the correct API key. So I'll just exit company here. What I should actually do is now you do need to be the administrator for this. So you go into administration. And then you have one there for users. Sorry, you want to have one for API keys at the very end there. So it's API keys. You go there. And then you can actually come over here and create a new API key. With the API key, so you can just add a new API key. So call it Pi, hit save. Then what you can do is you can actually go into edit that, right click and copy it, and then paste it into your application. Or you can do that, or email it yourself maybe, and then paste it into the application. But our support team are always on hand to help with getting it set up anyway. So if the API key is incorrect, you haven't either copied and pasted correctly, maybe missed a character, or if you're keying it in, I'd say copy and paste is better than keying it in because you might have a 0 or the letter O, so you need to make sure it's absolutely correct.
Thank you.
Somebody else here, let me answer this one. Somebody says, hi, some of our supplier invoices have both VAT for resale and not for resale. How do I analyze that and set up the supplier for VAT purchase for resale and resale? Well, let me go back into my company here and just take some of those points. So the first thing on the supplier setup, you can only have one default per supplier. So if I go to my Hara Brewing change, so you can either have resale or non-resale. You can't have both. But what you can do is, what I would recommend you do is you set the default for what you mostly have. So if it's mostly resale, but they might send you the odd non-resale one. What you can do, it will tag it as resale when it comes into the purchase importer inbox. Purchases book. Purchase importer. But you can over here manually interact with this. So for example, if something did come in as resale, I can go in here and change the amounts in here. So I can actually interact with it here. So there is a little bit of additional manual work there, but we don't currently support automated splitting of resale and non-resale. That would need a lot more work to do. But if that's we'll certainly take that as feedback, and we have had it from others as well. So certainly something we'll take on board. But at the moment, it's only a single default resale and non-resale that would be automatically done, but that doesn't stop you doing it individually. Okay, so that's I'll set that as done. The other question is they have turbo inventory or product that or other product. Is Snap option possible through turbo to upload into BRC? It currently isn't, but we are looking at turbo and integrating bigger cloud and turbo as much as possible. But that's not something that's done at the moment. Okay, that's the end of the open questions. There's another question at the moment. I might just show the final slide. Yeah. So sorry, there's a question here. Yeah.
One more there. Yeah.
So Karen's asking, I need to stop this system. Should I wait for the more detailed training course next month you mentioned, or can I get the support team to help me with it? No, absolutely, you can get the support team to help Karen. We also have videos on our website. There is a more detailed webinar. But the biggest part of setup, once you have it enabled, really is going through the suppliers. And even in advance to turn it on, Karen, if you go into your suppliers, I'll just highlight the fields again. Make sure, what I would do is make sure you have your VAT number set for each person. The name, if possible, as well, that matches the name on the invoice. But if you have the VAT number, it will override that. And then set your default categories. That will actually make it, once you do start using it, it's fairly simple. There's not a lot of configuration in it. And once you do start using it, then you'll find it's pretty easy to use. But yeah, by all means, our support team do help people all the time to get up and running on it. Thanks for your question. Let me just check another anonymous attendee has, can we change the nominal on a purchase invoice after it's imported and processed? We have a supplier whose nominal would change depending on the invoice. So yeah, there's two ways to do that. One way is to do what I'm doing here. As you're reviewing the purchase importer screen, you can go in here and interact with it, change it from light and heat, whatever. Or you can choose multiple here as well manually. So I should have said in the last answer, you can choose multiple here individually, but by clicking the drop down, choose multiple. Or what you can do as well is in the normal way, it does let you change it in the purchase book in the normal run of events. So that's still enabled here. Okay, so the next one is, can you show upload of a PDF of multiple invoices? Okay, I think I do have one here somewhere. Let me just clean up this interface a little bit first. Well, actually, no, let me go ahead and upload documents. I think this one is multiple. So let me just pop it up there and just see. Let me just put a filter here just to make it a bit easier to see. Filter. Let's go with date uploaded. Date uploaded. There you go. Okay. So there's another one I just did earlier. And in fact, there is an example of the potential duplicate because there's one we already had. Here's the one I just uploaded. I see it's 3 pages long. So 1, 2, 3. So that's a 3-page PDF. What I can actually now do is process that. Hit OK on that. Just give it a second to process. It should detect that splitting is required. Just process it a minute. So what process does it sends it to our backend engine, and there's an AI engine that's part of that. And it actually looks at the document and pulls it apart to see what it is. You see there, it's come back already saying actually splitting is required in this one. So what I can actually now do is the split document option down here at the bottom is now enabled because it's detected the split document. I can now hit split. Again, this is where I showed in the video. You can actually review to see, make sure it's picked the pages right. If this was a 2-page invoice and a 1-page invoice, I could manually change that to say, look, this is not page 2. But in this case, it is. So I'll just say split document. It's going to do 3 separate pages. So now what it's done is done the 3 individual invoices. So that's how you do that. So thanks for the question. Okay, next question is about VAT. You mentioned you should close out previous months after VAT return is done so that invoices can be put into 3 months. Where can this be done? Yeah, no, that's a good question. So that's in period control. So if I go into, and that's, by the way, is a general setting. So if I go into my purchase book, just to show you the impact on that. So if I go into my purchases book I'm in January 2020 at the moment, right? I can add, I can change, I can delete, if it's possible. All of those things are now enabled because I haven't locked the period. If I now decide to go and lock period, so go into utilities, period control. What I can now do is individually per month lock these. So let's go to my purchases book and just double click it and save it. I have to go back to my purchases book, back into January. So what you now see is that add, change, delete are all grayed out, which means I can't even accidentally go in and make any of those changes. So that's how you do that. Rita Watch says, hi Rita, how are you doing? Does it recognize when an invoice is more than 1 page? Yes, it does. It supports multiple page invoices. So thanks for the question, Rita. Eamon Lawler is asking, how do you categorize invoices after the upload from the supplier if there's different ones there, Eamon? Yeah, that's a good question, Eamon. So at the moment, we have a single default. But if there was multiple here, let me go back to the purchase importer. In fact, let me process the O'Hara Brewing one. I'll just show you the one I've just done. Let me process that one. So by default, it'll take the single one. So let's say this O'Hara one was in fact split. I know it actually wasn't, but let's go ahead and process it. Just wait for that to hopefully finishes soon. So it's now processed. So what it's done over here is it's purchased for resale 23%, but it's put it all to drink, okay? And it's 150 net. But what I can actually do here is I can say choose multiple accounts. So I can actually say Let's say it was drink of 100. And let's say, I don't know, equipment of the balance. I've hit page down there. Hopefully you all know the page down shortcut, which is a shortcut for allocate the remainder. If I don't hit page down, I can double click with my mouse. So there's a bonus tip for today. So double click when you put it in the 100, it knows there's 50 left to be allocated. So what that's now doing is doing a multiple split across those two nominal codes. So it's multiple here. And then what I can actually do, so the rest of this is okay, I can actually process that. Or actually even create transactions. Okay, there is an error in it. Period actually. Okay, so let's go to, yeah, that's a 2019 invoice. So let's put into January. In actual fact, let me put into January. Let's see what happens, guys, right? And bonus points for who's going to tell me. Create transactions. So it's a good example following on from the previous question. It's telling me I can't create a transaction because the period is actually closed. Okay, so there's the business logic in action. Okay, but let me go into maybe February and we'll try and put it into February. So create transaction now. We should be fine unless there's any other problems. There we go. So that's created one purchase invoice. And if I now go into my purchase book, let's go into lookup on the supplier. Was that Carlo Brewing? Carlo Brewing. Click into ledger. And this one here, view. And there it is split between 100 in drink and 50 on equipment. So that kind of is how you handle that name. And thanks for the question. Good question, actually. And good segue for the previous question about close periods. That seems to be the end of the close periods. Of the open questions. If there's any more, what I'll do is I'll just show the last one or two slides on my deck just before we wrap it up. The next thing to talk about is we just do I mentioned training. So we do offer training through the Kildare Wicklow, Donegal, and Wexford and Waterford Enterprise Training Boards. If you go to biggercloud.com/training, you'll see the courses that are there. They're offered at different times, so different ones will be open or closed depending on the time of year and whatever is there. But they're all free is the most important thing to know there, and they're really good. So and they're a good introduction to accounts. So it's a good place to go for training. We do give a cert at the end of the course, so it's a good way to get you certified in using bookkeeping, payroll, and there's some other ones as well, like AI and accounts, other things as well, stock and so on. So that's it. If there's any, let me just see if there's any more questions. No, there's no more questions. So I'll just say thank you very much for your attention this morning. So we will follow up with a follow-on webinar next month. We'll do more detail on that one. You will get details on your inbox. And other than that, I'd just like to say thank you very much for your attention and thanks all. I'll close the webinar now. Many thanks all.